Welcome to second class on your capital gains. Before we proceed to the next class, let us discuss or summarize what we have learned in our previous session. In previous class, we have discussed the concept of capital gain, capital assets, then concept of transfer, concept of short term and long term capital assets, when under what circumstances the transfer of capital asset will not be considered as transfer, then how to compute capital gain from short term capital asset and long term capital assets, and what are the provisions relating to valuation or computation of full value of consideration, cost of improvement, cost of acquisition, expenditure that are deductible, index value of acquisition. Then we have also discussed special circumstances where the cost of acquisition to be valued. Now we will discuss what are the exemptions available while computing capital gain. Let me give a brief idea how capital gain is calculated, whether it is a short term or long term. First, we have to find out the full value of sales consideration or transfer consideration. Out of that amount, three deductions are available. One is your expenditure exclusively incurred in connection with transfer. Second, expenditure cost of acquisition or index cost of acquisition in case of your long term capital assets. Then cost of improvement or index cost of improvement in case of long term capital assets. The balancing figure is your capital gain. Out of that capital gain, exemption under section 54, 54D, E, EC, etc. are available. So in this session we will discuss when and under what circumstances such exemption can be claimed and what are the conditions to be fulfilled to claim such exemption. Let us start with section 54. Section 54 is capital gain arising from transfer of residential property. Our discussion pattern will be, first I will discuss who can claim it, then which specific asset is eligible for this exemption, then what should be purchased or invested so that this exemption can be claimed. Then we will discuss what is the time limit for acquisition of that new asset, then the quantum of exemption. Finally, under what circumstances the exemption already claimed can be revoked or withdrawn. Section 54 is available or it can be claimed by individual or HUF only. Any assets, if a residential house property, long term residential house property is transferred and long term capital gain is there, then we can claim this exemption. Where to invest? Exemption is available only if one residential property is purchased or constructed in India. If it is purchased, the purchase should be within 1 year before transfer or within 2 years after transfer. If it is constructed, then construction should be completed within 3 years from the date of transfer. It is immaterial whether the construction is completed after the date of transfer or before the date of transfer, but construction should be completed within 3 years from the date of transfer. Then the quantum of exemption will be actual investment in the new residential property or capital gain, whichever is lower, that can be claimed. Then the situation where this exemption already claimed can be revoked or withdrawn. The new asset, that means new residential property which is purchased, if it is again transferred within 3 years from its acquisition, then the exemption already availed will be withdrawn. When I say exemption already availed will be withdrawn means when the second or newly purchased residential house will be sold, when we calculate capital gain on transfer of the second house property, when we take the full value of consideration, then we deduct cost of acquisition. When I deduct cost of acquisition, the cost of acquisition will be reduced by the actual exemption we have already claimed. So this is the brief provisions how to claim section 54 exemption. One important thing is that if an individual or HUF neither purchase a residential property nor construct a residential property, then he can also claim exemption if he deposits money in a special account, that is capital gain deposit scheme account, available in with any nationalized bank or IDBI bank. Now out of that account, money should be withdrawn either to purchase or construct the residential property within the time limit. If it is not withdrawn or used for the purpose for which it is being deposited, then on expiry of that period, the amount will again be treated as a capital gain in the hands of the SSE. Next exemption is your capital gain arising from transfer of land used for agricultural purpose, that is section 54B. Who can claim it? Individual and HUF can claim it. What type of asset is eligible for this type of exemption? Any short term or long term capital assets, but it should be agricultural land. When I say agricultural land, which one will be considered as agricultural land? The land which is used for agricultural purpose for at least 2 years immediately prior to transfer. Then what to purchase or acquire to get this exemption? Again we have to purchase an agricultural land, maybe in urban area, maybe in a rural area, and this purchase should be done within 2 years from the date of transfer. And bank deposit scheme is also available, same as in section 54. Then the amount of exemption will be your actual investment in the agricultural land or actual capital gain, whichever is lower. Then the where it will be withdrawn, same as section 54. Next exemption is section 54D, that is capital gain on compulsory acquisition of land and building forming a part of industrial undertakings. Here the important thing is industrial undertaking. Who can claim it? Any taxpayer, means maybe individual, maybe HUF, maybe partnership firm, maybe company, anybody can claim this one. What are the assets which are eligible for this exemption? Land or building, maybe short term, maybe long term, forming a part of industrial undertakings. Industrial undertakings, land and building should be there, and that land and building should be compulsorily acquired by the government. The land and building should be compulsorily acquired by the government, and before that acquisition, the land and building should be used for at least 2 years for industrial purpose. Then where to invest? Again we have to invest in land and building for same industrial purpose, and that investment should be within 3 years from the date of receipt of compensation. Here the important thing is you have to invest in land and building for industrial purpose within 3 years from the date of receipt of compensation, not from the date of transfer. And bank deposit scheme was also applicable as it was in section 54. How much exemption you can claim? Investment in the new assets or capital gain, whichever is lower. The new asset should not be transferred within 3 years from the date of acquisition of the new asset. However, if it is transferred within 3 years, then exemption already availed will be withdrawn. Next exemption is section 54EC. This is capital gain on transfer of any long-term capital assets on the basis of investment in certain bonds. Here, it can be availed by any taxpayer. Then, where to invest? What are the capital gain which are eligible to claim this exemption? Long-term capital assets being land and building or both, may be residential, may be commercial, situated in India or outside India. That means long-term capital gain should be arising from the land and building. Then where to invest? Investment in national bonds of National Highway Authority of India, NHAI, or Rural Electrification Corporation, or any other bonds which may be notified by the government. The maximum limit of investment in these bonds in a financial year is 50 lakh. Then what is the date within which we have to invest? Within 6 months from the date of transfer. Then how much exemption we can claim? Investment in the original year bonds, maximum 50 lakhs. If it is more, then maximum 50 lakhs we will consider, or capital gain actual calculated, whichever is lower, shall be taxable, shall be exempted. Then circumstances where this exemption will be withdrawn, means the exemption we have already claimed will be again added to our income, we have to pay tax. If the new asset, means bonds, is transferred within 5 years from its acquisition, or if the new asset is converted to money or loan at advance, is taken on security as a new asset within 5 years from the date of its acquisition of the new assets. Means in a single sentence, if that new asset is transferred within 5 years from its acquisition, then the exemption already availed will be withdrawn. Another exemption is on capital gain on transfer of long-term capital assets other than house property. This is coming under section 54F. This can be claimed by any individual or HUF. Capital gain must arise on transfer of long-term capital assets only, that to residential house property, other than residential house property. And another condition is the individual or HUF should not own more than one residential property during that or on the date of transfer of such capital assets. And where to invest to get the exemption? One residential house property in India. It may be purchased or it may be here constructed. If it is not purchased, if it is not constructed, the bank deposit scheme is also applicable here. Then how much exemption will be available under this section? Here there is a proportionate exemption will be there. How to compute the proportionate exemption limit? Investment in the new asset divided by the net consideration multiplied by capital gain. The figure which will come, you have to compare that figure with the actual capital gain. Whichever is less will be exempted. Again I am repeating how much exemption will be available under section 54. Investment in the new assets, that means the investment in new residential property divided by net sales consideration from sale of any assets other than house property multiplied by total capital gain. Whatever amount will come, you have to compare the amount with the capital gain. Whichever is less will be exempted from capital gain. And it will be withdrawn, the exemption will be withdrawn if the new asset is transferred, means the new residential property is transferred within 3 years from its acquisition or within 2 years from the date of transfer of original assets, if the taxpayer purchases another residential property in India or outside India. This exemption is available to an individual or HUF who owns only one house property on the date of transfer, and to get this exemption he can purchase another house property. Means at any moment of time he should have he may have maximum two residential property. If during any 2 years he owns another residential property, then the exemption will be withdrawn from him. The next exemption is coming under section 54G, that is capital gain arising on transfer of assets in cases of shifting of industrial undertaking from urban area to rural area. Any industrial undertaking, if it is shifted from urban area to rural area, then the capital gain arising from the transfer of short-term or long-term capital assets may be land, building, plant, machinery, that can be claimed the exemption under section 54G, and it is available to all type of taxpayer. Then what to invest? You have to invest money in land, building, plant, machinery in rural area, and the new asset should be purchased within 1 year before or 3 years after the date of transfer of original assets. And bank deposit scheme also applicable here, are available here. Then how much exemption is available? Investment in the new assets or the actual capital gain, whichever is lower, can be claimed as exemption. Now, if the new asset means land, building, plant, machinery in rural area, which is acquired for claiming this exemption, if it is again transferred within 3 years from its acquisition, then the exemption will be again taken back. Next exemption is coming under capital gain on transfer of residential property. This is applicable for specified period if the house properties are transferred in a specified time period. This is applicable to individual or HUF, and the specific assets which are eligible for claiming exemption under these sections are on transfer of long-term residential property, a house property or maybe plot, which is transferred during 1st April 2012 to 31st March 2017. Then where to invest? You have to invest equity shares in an eligible company. When I say eligible company, who are eligible company? Eligible companies are those which utilize the amount so realized to purchase new assets within 1 year from a date of subscription of equity shares. Then how much exemption will be available? Exemption will be available on proportionate basis, means investment in the equity shares divided by net sales consideration by sale of a long-term house residential property multiplied by capital gain. Whatever amount will come, you have to compare it with the capital gain, whichever is less will be exempted. And when this exemption will be withdrawn? If the equity shares in the eligible companies are sold or otherwise transferred by the SSC within 5 years from the date of its acquisition, if the new assets so sold or otherwise transferred by the eligible company within 5 years from the date of acquisition, and if the deposit account is not utilized fully or partly by the eligible company or for purchasing the new assets within 1 year from the date of its subscription. If these three conditions are satisfied, then the exemption already upheld under section 54GB will be withdrawn. Now, how to compute this capital gain taxation? There may be 4 different categories where we will calculate tax on capital gain. First, there will be long-term capital gain or there may be short-term capital gain. If there will be long term capital gain, then it may be there two category. Category 1, long term capital gain when STT is not applicable, securities transaction tax is not applicable. Number 2 category is long term capital gain when STT is applicable. Similarly, short term capital gain where STT is not applicable, short term capital gain where STT is applicable. Let us first discuss how to calculate long term capital gain taxation where STT is not applicable. If STT is not applicable, then it is taxable 20% flat plus surcharge or higher education cess, other cess as applicable. There is one provision, that is section 112 subsection A 1 clause A, that this special provision is only applicable where the long term capital gain arises in the hands of a resident individual or HUF. Number 2 condition is that total taxable income minus long term capital gain is less than exemption limit. If two conditions are satisfied, then this special exemption limit scheme will be applicable. Again, I am repeating. Number 1, the assessee should be resident individual or resident HUF. Number 2, total taxable income minus long term capital gain is less than the exemption limit. If these two conditions are satisfied, then how much relief you will get, how much deduction you will get. Total exemption limit, suppose in general it is 2,50,000 minus net income or taxable income, total income suppose 10 lakh minus long term capital gain suppose 8 lakh. So 10 lakh minus 8 lakh is equal to 2 lakh. Exemption limit is 2,50,000. So 2,50,000 minus 2 lakh, that is 50,000. Here 50,000 exemption can be claimed from long term capital gain of 8 lakh. That means the individual is required to pay tax at a rate of 20% on 7,50,000 instead of 8 lakh rupees. Now, if STT is paid and long term capital gain is there, in that case tax rate will be your 10%. Tax rate will be 10% plus surcharge plus higher education cess. Similarly, 10% long term capital gain tax will be applicable if it is in the hands of non-resident and which incomes are coming under section 115 AB, AC, AD and E. Then it will be your 10%. However, in case any taxpayer, if listed securities, bonds, debentures, government securities or zero coupon bonds are transferred and taxpayer doesn't avail the benefit of indexation, securities and long term capital gain is there from the listed security and indexation benefit is not claimed, then he can pay tax 10% plus surcharge plus cess. Then long term capital gain with effect from the assessment year 1920 applicable to our assessment year. If the 4 conditions are satisfied, this new section 112A will be applicable. What are the conditions? Number 1, the total income includes any income chargeable under the head capital gain. Okay. Number 2, that capital gain must arise from the transfer of long term capital assets, that should be equity shares or units of mutual fund, equity oriented mutual fund or business trust. Number 3, at the time of transfer of equity shares or the equity oriented mutual funds, STT has been paid. Number 4, in case capital gain arises on transfer of equity share, STT was paid also at the time of purchase of shares. if these four conditions are satisfied, then if these four conditions are satisfied, then long term capital gain computed will be taxable at 10% plus surcharge plus cess if that capital gain exceeds 1 lakh rupees during the previous year. Again, I am repeating, if these four conditions are satisfied, then long term capital gain in excess of 1 lakh, means if there is a capital gain of 1,20,000, then 20,000 will be taxable at the rate 10% plus surcharge plus cess. Besides that, the provision of section 112 and A subsection 2, that is basic exemption limit, that provision is also applicable, which I have already discussed previously. Next, how to compute tax on short-term capital gain. Here there may be two situations: short-term capital gain, STT is not paid; short-term capital gain, STT is paid. Short-term capital gain, if STT is not paid, that means it is a normal income taxable at a normal rate of tax or normal slab rate. That means up to 2,50,000 nil, then from 2,50,000 to 5 lakh it is 5%, then 5 lakh to 10 lakh it is 20%, then above 10 lakh it is 30%, and so on. And the second category is where short-term capital gain is there and STT has been paid. In that case, tax will be your 15% flat plus surcharge plus cess. And the scheme of basic exemption limit is also available in case of your short-term capital gain. Now, the most important thing to remember is that whether it is a long-term capital gain or a short-term capital gain, if they are taxable at a fixed rate, means fixed your flat rate 20% or 15% or state 10%, in that case the deduction under section 80C to 80U are not allowed. Let me give an example. If you have short-term capital gain which is taxable at a rate of 15%, then out of that short-term capital gain, if you have some investment in 80C, that is not allowed for deduction. But if at the same time, if you have short-term capital gain which is taxable at a normal rate, then you can claim your 80C or 80D or 80U, up to 80U deduction you can claim. This is the basic thing you have to remember when you calculate your tax on capital gain. Besides this, there are others exemption also which I have not mentioned here, but there are some exemptions which can be claimed by the SSC, like capital gain not to be charged on investment in units of specified funds. Where it is applicable, this is coming under section 54EE. This is coming under 54EE. These deduction, these exemptions are not so important. That's why I have not mentioned here, but I am giving you the details. Section 54EE is capital gain not to be charged on investment in units of specified fund. That means the SSC has transferred a long-term capital assets, and he must invest the whole or any part of the capital gain in a long-term specified asset as notified by the central government to finance startup. The amount should not exceed 50 lakhs. Then how much exemption will be available? The amount of exemption under section 54EE is the amount of capital gain or amount investment in the specified startup, whichever is lower. The amount so invested in the specified investment cannot be withdrawn or transferred within 3 years from the date of acquisition. If the SSC does so, then the exemption already available will be withdrawn. Similarly, there is another exemptions coming under section 54GA. 54GA, that is capital gain on transfer of assets in shifting of industrial undertaking from urban area to special economic zone. There was a provisions where industrial undertaking urban to rural area, that is coming under section 54G. This is another section 54GA which is applicable when the assets are transferred from industrial units from urban area to SEZ unit. Same rules and regulations are applicable as applicable in case of your section 54G. So this is all about your computation of capital gain and what are the exemptions that can be claimed by you from that total capital gain, and find out the taxability or tax liability on different capital gains. You can follow any books and see how these illustration and exercise are being solved. If any doubt, you are free to ask me our WhatsApp group. So thank you. Stay at home. Stay safe.